Before today's episode, I wish to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and recognise their continued connection to the beautiful land and sea. I'd also like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, and I extend this acknowledgement to the traditional owners of the land my listeners are on. Welcome to Ritual the Podcast, your cottage in the woods. A sacred space for the witches, the healers, the magical folk to meet and speak of wisdom, witchery, and old world magic, where people come to learn, to hear stories, to share secrets, and to be free to be their true selves. Welcome to Ritual. So today is very special because I am ending the year how I started, but a little bit differently. So you may remember, if we go way back, I spoke to this amazing lady who knew all the things about manifesting, and her name is Stephanie Keith. And I'm so thankful that I did that podcast, because not only did I get a really good guest and a good source of information, but I also found a really amazing friend. She is a beautiful, beautiful person. Steph has her own podcast, which you should listen to. It's called Law of Attraction Tribe. She is an author. She's a manifesting magician. And she has this app that's literally one of my favorite things ever. I listen to her subliminals every single day. But I wanted to bring her back because we are now at the end of the year, and it's New Year's Eve. Well, it will be nearly New Year's Eve, and now it's time for some New Year's magic. And I thought, who better to talk to about that than the amazing Stephanie Keith? So Steph, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back on the podcast and to talk about New Year's, because I have all the things. I like manifesting magician. I should put that in my Instagram bio or something.
That's your new title for the new year. You're a magician now. You have been upgraded.
I love it.
Well, thank you for joining me once again. It's been nice. I was on yours not too long ago for Halloween, and now we're here. We're going to do all the milestones of the years together. So I'll see you at Easter.
And we love the holidays. So, I mean, it's perfect. Yeah.
I know, we do. How are you going?
Good. In the full swing of gearing up for the new year, but also I'm really trying to slow down and celebrate the things that I've done this year, because I'm forward thinking that I never do that. I always am just jumping to the next goal. So that's kind of like a goal this year, is just, okay, let's pause for a second and see
appreciation.
So I'm kind of in that mode right now.
I'm like that too. And I one part of me likes it because I'm very goal orientated. I'm very motivated. And so I'm always moving on to bigger and bigger things. But then also you're kind of hello, you're totally missing everything that you've done. And you go, are you even fulfilled? Because you're so I've got this next thing, where I think you're right. It's important to kind of just stop and go, that was cool. I did that. Past Amy would be happy for future Amy.
Right. Do you notice when you're trying to manifest, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but when you're trying to manifest something, it's in your mindset for so long and you're visualizing it for so long that when it happens, it just feels like no big deal. And so you just kind of don't even realize that it's manifested. And
100%.
Yeah. That's how I am. So I'm trying to just realize hey, this was once a dream of mine, and let's just appreciate it a little bit and show some gratitude. You
Absolutely. I totally agree. I definitely need to be more like that. And you know what? You've had a massive year as well. So you do have a lot that you need to sit and give yourself appreciation for, because you've kicked some massive goals.
It's been a very busy, wild year. I'm trying to just slow down a little bit, because it's been nonstop go and it's all been good, but I'm kind of exhausted too.
Yeah. Now let's start with the very first question. And I know that you have changed this from when I've asked you at the beginning of the year. So I would love to know, do you have a morning ritual? And I know you do. I already know the answer to this because I know you're big into the morning and evening rituals. But what is your updated morning ritual?
Yeah, man, I feel like I change it all the time. I don't even
Yeah.
remember what it was at the beginning of the year, but yeah, so in my morning, I've been waking up before anyone else in the house because that's literally the only time it's quiet in my house. And the very first thing I've been doing is listening to my subliminals. So I put my headphones in, I listen to those, I get those going, and I have this document that this mental scientist gave me at the beginning of the year. And
Mm-hmm.
he was so like funny and goofy, but the stuff works. And he created this document and it has just like a bunch of uplifting phrases and words about how you're going to get really intentional and focused on your day.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through and I read that out loud and it just gets me in this like really happy, excited, sort of like manifestation state. So I do that and then I say my goals out loud, which is
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I did that at the beginning of the year. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like instead of just writing them down, I say them out loud. And I feel like when I say them out loud, it gives more power to them and it
Yeah.
gives me like that little bit of confidence. It's like I'm embodying that goal. I'll say things like I'm a best-selling author. I have the #1 manifestation app. And so it's like the more I say it, the more I embody it and the more confident I am
Mm-hmm.
around it. So I do that. And then I really try to do my journaling and it's hit or miss. I'm gonna be honest because Aiden, my youngest, is an early riser. So he usually will get up and it just depends on if he's
Yeah.
going to cooperate or not that morning. But I do like to get my journaling in. And then I love going out for a walk out in nature. Like
Yeah.
that is the ultimate. It puts me in a good mood and it's just like constant downloads as I'm walking. It's just like
Mm.
any question I have, any sign I'm looking for seems to happen when I'm outside in nature walking. And I don't know if it's like the movement or just being outside, but there's something magical about it. So
Do
I've
you listen to
really been
anything
trying to
when you
get back
walk?
in the habit. I'll usually listen to either some kind of motivational podcast
Mm-hmm.
or subliminals. And then sometimes I'll feel like just not listening to anything
Mm.
and I'll just hear like the birds chirping,
How nice
which
is that?
actually, yeah, it is. It's really
Mm.
nice. And I didn't realize that when you hear birds chirping, it's like part of our human instinct to calm down. It like relaxes our
Yeah.
nervous system
Yep.
because it means there's no predators around. And so, like, just going back to your basic instinct, you can just kind of breathe and relax. So it is really nice just
Mm.
getting outside. And I get so much inspiration.
Yeah.
So then after that, by the time I get back from my walk, I'm like ready to go. I will try to put whatever inspiration I got into action. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of like the morning just goes from there.
Yeah, I have actually noticed in the last few months, especially, like I'm usually when I go for a walk, I'll always have like music blasting or I'll have like a podcast going. And I started to feel like it was just like too noisy. And so I found that when I actually turned everything off and I just listened to life around me, I had this like completely different mindset where yes, maybe before I was like pumped up and good after a workout, but this was like a different kind where like you have this clarity because you've kind of like digested everything you need, maybe from the day before, or you've planned out your day, but then you've had all these other hits that have come in. And I think, yeah, embracing that quiet and just listening to what's happening around you is so empowering in its own way.
Yeah, and I notice it calms my kids down too, because I'll
Yeah.
bring them with. I put them in the stroller and they're so quiet and calm on the
Yeah.
walk, which is so unusual. Like they're normally like maniacs. But it really like gets to them too. And they're
Yeah.
they're just calm and like they enjoy it. And then they point out all the animals that we see. And yeah, it's just like a nice way to start out the day. It's like you can't go wrong.
Totally. I agree. Okay, so the reason why I wanted you to come on is because obviously manifesting is your like thing. You're the magician in manifesting. And with New Year's, I feel like people are very torn. Like, I actually found a lot more people are more negative about going into the new year because they don't like setting the goals. There's too much pressure to, like, you know, achieve everything. And it's kind of got this like negative spin on it. Whereas I love goal setting for New Year's. Like, I've always really enjoyed it, and I love like doing my own kind of like magical rituals and stuff for it. So I would love to know, what do you do for your New Year's? Like, do you have something that you do every year, or is there something that you're planning on doing this year to kind of manifest all the goals that you want for next year?
Yeah, well, I'm like you. I love planning and goal setting,
Mm.
and I just find it really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like if you're dreading it, it's almost like there's some kind of subconscious belief in the way that you don't think it's going to happen, or like you're
Yeah.
already sabotaging it before you even set the goal. And that's
Yeah.
actually really, it's common, very
Yeah.
common. But my ritual every year is to do a vision board. Vision boards work for me. I like them. They're fun to do. You know,
Yeah.
I'll do it with my daughter. I usually do some kind of a vision board workshop. But this year, I'm like taking it to the next level. So we read I have like a little book club where we read The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever read that book,
No.
but it's golden. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
so much in there. And one of the things that he talks about is this come as you'll be party.
Mm-hmm.
So he would do these like, I don't know if it was like a mastermind group coaching type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, he would have this event and it was called the Come As You'll Be Party. And everyone would come to this party, like dressed and talking and acting like they've already achieved their goals 3 years from now. So they would look into the future,
Oh.
like, what do I want to have achieved in my life in 3 years? So, you know, maybe they'll come dressed in like a designer outfit, or maybe they'll come dressed, you know, maybe they are the opposite. They want to be a stay-at-home mom. They'll come
Mm-hmm.
dressed, you know, in casual clothes or whatever. And then they'll go and they'll talk to everybody as though this is their life. Like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love being home with my kids every day. Or, oh, yeah, I'm a best-selling author. I have a book tour and I've gone to
Mm.
this city and that city. And you just completely like stay in character the entire night. And everyone at this party does this. And then you can bring props and things. So one of the things that Jack Canfield did was he took a picture of himself and photoshopped it on a TEDx stage. And
Yep.
he like hung it up on the wall of this party. And what ended up happening was years later, he did do a TEDx. And when someone at the TEDx took a picture, he was like, that looks really familiar. And he put that side by side
Oh
with the
my
one that he
God.
photoshopped, and it was like identical, like even the same outfit and everything. So I was like, oh, okay, we are totally doing this.
Yeah.
So everyone in the book club was like, oh my gosh, like this, we're going for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like photoshopping like my book on like the New York Times bestseller list.
Yes.
And then my podcast on like the top of like the Apple charts and different things like that. And we're all going to like come, and it's going to be virtual because, you know, I wish it could be in person, but everyone's in different locations. And we're just going to talk as if this is already our life, and like talk about all the different goals that we've like achieved
Mm-hmm.
and what our lifestyle is like. And so it's kind of like a vision board, but you're actually acting it out. Like
Yeah.
you're giving some more energy to it. So that's a big thing.
Cool.
And then yeah, and I've got another one. I got another one for you too. You might know this one already.
Yeah.
So I've been getting really into Joe Dispenza,
Mm-hmm.
and he, you know, talks all about like the subconscious mind and how our brain works and everything like that. And one of the things that he talks about are mind movies, which is basically like a vision board, but you can actually make a movie, just like you would make a reel or a TikTok.
Yep.
You can make one up with all of these different clips of the life you want to live.
Mm.
So I'm clipping like all of my goals and like places I want to travel and just different things that represent where I want to be 3 years down the road. And I'm putting it into a movie. And then I'm putting like affirmations on the bottom
Yep.
of the screen, not really to consciously read, but just more of that like subliminal messaging for my subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I'm like layering a subliminal. So it's just
Oh my
like,
God.
it's just hitting my subconscious in like all different ways. So like, it's the same concept of the vision board. I'm just taking it like up 5 notches.
That's so cool. And you know what? I find that often, especially like with reels and stuff, because you have like the music and the visual and all of that, it makes you so much more emotional. Like I cry at reels all the time because of the music, or I feel like inspired by it or whatever. So I think like seeing a movie of your future life, how emotionally like uplifting would that be to like go, that's going to be my reality, and that you can see it playing out and you can see what you're going to be seeing, and that's such a cool idea. And then with the subliminal, like
yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head with the music thing, because it's like we all have those songs that we hear them and we just get like chills, like in a really good way, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just puts you in this whole vibe. And so that doesn't really happen when you just look at a vision board.
mm-hmm.
So if you can create it like this and add that music in, it's, giving you the thoughts plus the feelings all combined. I mean, it's just like a really cool manifesting hack.
I love that. I love that. And so going back to what we were saying about how people feel this pressure and they do kind of like self-sabotage themselves before they've even start. And maybe that's like a self-doubt thing as well. Like, how could I even do that? Why would that come to me? Like, that's never going to happen. And all those like negative, like the negative chat that you get in your brain all the time. So what would you do, and what would you say to somebody who is going into New Year's, like maybe they've had a bit of a shitty year and they have a more of a negative mindset going into it? What would you do to kind of switch that up and try and, because often people find that the hardest is to switch from being in a negative mindset to a positive because they're trying to find something to cling on to. So what would you do to make that reset?
Yeah, so I suggest getting out a pen and paper and writing down your goal. Like, even if you're not into journaling, just try it, because I feel like when you write things out, things that you're not consciously aware of come to the surface. So whatever you're doing to sabotage yourself, it's not like you consciously want to sabotage yourself.
No.
It's your subconscious trying to protect you because it doesn't want you to get rejected or fail or, whatever you think is going to happen. So get out a piece of paper and write down what these goals are. And then the second you get that hint of like, well, that's not possible, or that would be nice, but that never happens for me, like, just stop and ask yourself why, or write on the paper why. Like, why wouldn't it be possible for me? Why can't I have this? Why do I feel like this isn't a possibility in my life? And just let yourself write. And that's going to reveal all of these subconscious limiting beliefs that you're feeling that are sabotaging you. So that's a first part. I mean, having awareness of it is really important, because then you can kind of stop yourself when these beliefs start coming up again. So I suggest doing that. And then whatever that limiting belief is, like, disprove it. And you disprove it by just finding an example of one other person who is able to achieve that had the same limitations. Because all your subconscious needs is like that proof.
Yeah.
To know that it's possible. So, like, if you want to achieve a certain income goal and then you're like, well, that's not possible because of my job or my career, look at someone else that's in your industry that's had that financial goal. And I mean, if you don't know anyone personally, go on social media. There's like millions of people. And just disprove that. Give your subconscious that proof. And then the other little subconscious hack that you can do to shift that is pretend, or like, you can say it out loud or you can write it out, but just like pretend that it already happened and you're having a conversation with your best friend, talking about all of these things that you accomplished this year and how, yes, there were some obstacles, but you overcame them. And now you did the thing and it happened and blah, blah, blah. And what that's going to do is make the subconscious think that it's already happened, because the subconscious does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. And if it thinks it's already happened, then there's no reason for all that resistance to come up. So it's just like, it's pretty simple. It's just digging a little bit and bringing awareness to why you're feeling that way on a subconscious level, and then just telling your subconscious to shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's such a whiny little shit. I think it's so funny though, how we, even when we are in like the biggest slump, we often find it easier to be uplifting for somebody else and to like find the positive for somebody else than it is for ourselves. Like, so saying that, like, pretend you're talking to your best friend, that's such a good way of doing it, because you would like naturally just go, it's okay, like everything's going to be fine and I can relate because I did this, but I overcame it, even though like you're dying inside. You just do that for other people where you're more than happy to sit in your own self-pity. So I think, yeah, by tricking yourself that you're actually talking to somebody else is a good way to kind of like kick yourself out of that mindset, for sure.
Yeah. And like the subconscious mind is just there to protect us. I mean, you know, so it's like, let's say you want to manifest love in 2023, like you want a loving relationship, and then all of that doubt starts coming up. That's just your subconscious thinking about a memory of when you got dumped or you were in a horrible relationship and thinking, well, I don't want you to go through that again. So I'm going to protect you and like tell you not to, you know, go for this, because what if you get rejected again? What if you get dumped? What if you're in a abusive relationship or whatever? So it's really just trying to protect us. But it's like, go and find someone then that was in a bad relationship or got rejected and now is married to the love of their life. Like that's all you need to reassure your subconscious that like, hey, it's okay. We've got this. It's okay to want this. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, totally. And then what would you say? Because one thing I have found with people who are kind of anti manifesting and law of attraction is that, what if I tried to manifest something and it just didn't happen? And I tried to be positive and I tried to do all the things and it didn't happen. Like, what have you done, especially like if you've had that yourself, where you've tried to like, you've really done all the things, you've put it all out there, you've been as positive as you can be, but it just didn't happen? What would you tell yourself? Because obviously you would feel that disappointment and you would feel that almost like rejection. What would you do? Or what would you say to yourself to kind of move past that?
I let it go. Like, let it go. And I always tell myself, if I have that disappointment, that if it was meant to be, it would have happened. And here's the thing with like, you know, you have to have that belief that it's going to happen for you with manifestation, right? Well, it's easy to believe something right when you set the goal, but really having faith, like true faith, means believing even when it looks like it didn't happen, but still believing anyways.
Yeah.
So like there's times in my life where something looked like I missed my chance. It didn't happen. It's never going to manifest. It took too long. But I keep believing anyways. And in like the 11th hour, it comes through. You know what I mean? So a lot of times we give up way too soon. If something doesn't happen instantly, like we live in this world of instant gratification, we just give up on it.
Yeah.
And that's not the way the universe works. You know, sometimes there's a lot of other things that have to fall into place in order for this thing to happen in your life. And you've got to give it that time and that space. So letting go is the best thing you can do, because typically if something has not manifested, it's because you're gripping it way too tight. You're so dependent on it and you feel like, I can't be happy or I won't be successful if I don't have the thing. And that's such a not good vibe to be in. Like, so that desperate. Just feels icky, you know? Yeah. And so, I mean, the way I like to describe it is like, imagine if you were dating someone and they were like, oh my God, I have to marry you. Like, I just have to marry you. I'm not going to be happy without you. You would be like terrified. You'd be like, get the hell away from me. right? Like it would totally repel that
Yeah.
person from you. So it's like that same thing. Like when you're acting so obsessive with your goal, you're just pushing it away. It's like instead just place your order with the universe and then like let it go and let the universe figure out the timing and just give it some space, let it go. And typically if you can do that, it might manifest later than you want it to, but it will manifest. You just have to let go.
Yeah, Patty and I always joke, like we make this joke where we'll always be like, when we buy that house, then we'll be happy. Or, when we like find this thing, then we'll be happy, because we, like, so many times in our lives, we have been so focused on getting whatever thing we want to achieve that we realize that the journey to get there has actually been really shit, because we put so much pressure on it. We've been so like, I don't have it now, so it's not good enough. And there's that saying where it's like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And that's so true, and everyone forgets about that. Like, it's only once you've achieved it is that successful. But it's like, but maybe that will take 5 years. So what are you going to do for 5 years? Just be miserable and complain, and that goal is going to disappear more and more because you're in such a negative, desperate state. So it's like, remember that every step you take is important, even like the little ones. Because then it's just not enjoyable at all. It's real, and it's not worth it. By the time you get to your goal, you're miserable and you're like, oh, yay.
Right. Yeah. Well, and think about where you're at right now and the fact that you once dreamed of that, because wherever we're at now, we've manifested that. So at some point in time, you were like dreaming of this life. And like we were saying earlier, you don't realize it just happens so subtly over time. But it's like, just stop and think about that. Like, man, I've come a long way in 5 years, 10 years. And that can help you get back in that state of gratitude and just really enjoying the now instead of waiting for the next shiny object to come along.
I totally agree. And so when you are doing your New Year's manifesting, do you like break it down where you do like a whole year's worth of stuff that you want? Or do you do it like month by month, week by week? Like, how would you typically plan it out? Like, do you have like the big goals and then the little like short-term ones, or what do you usually do?
Well, I always have a really big overarching goal that I don't really put a time frame on. It's just kind of like the overall vision of where I want my life to go. But I do love a 12-week goal because I feel like a year is a long time. And like, there's always things that happen in a year that you can't really anticipate. So it's really hard to plan that far ahead. And then a month, I feel like, is so short. Like it comes and goes so quickly. So I have just found that like 12-week increments work really well for me in terms of like goal setting. If I'm setting a financial goal or like the very next thing I'm launching in my business, that feels good for me. And I think it's just depending on the person, it's probably going to be a little bit different. But for me, like when I think about the past few years, where I was in January is like a totally different realm than December. And so I just kind of let things unfold how they're going to unfold. And I have my big overarching goal. And then I'll have for my business just that 12-week plan. And that's about it.
I like the 12 weeks because if you have a year, it's so overwhelming and you're like, oh my God, I've got so much I have to do right now. But 12 weeks is, and then, you're right. A month is like so short that you'd panic and be like, time's running out.
I know. Well, I can't believe we're, in the part of the year we're in right now. It's like, I feel like
I know
yesterday it was summertime. Like it was, summer in the US.
Yeah.
I know it's different seasons for you.
I know especially this half of the year, just like vanishes. Like the fact that we're talking about New Year's is mental. Like I feel like we just spoke for the first time.
I know. It's wild. Very crazy.
And so what do you do then when you have your big goal? Like, what's the thing that you would do for it? Like, for example, our big goal next year is to buy a house. So like, what would you do for the big one? Sorry, that was my phone.
Oh, I'm so excited that you want to buy a house.
Yes, we do.
You're
fine.
Yeah. This is so exciting because I love, like, oh my gosh. So what you need to do, what I recommend, because I've done this
yes, I know.
twice and it's worked both times, is go into the house, like find a house that you absolutely love and try to go in it. Like if there's an open house, if you can get a realtor and walk through the house, even if it's out of your price range, just putting yourself in that scenario. Once again, it's like so much more powerful than just putting it on a vision board, because you're going to feel something when you're in there. You know what I mean? And you're going to be able to actually visualize yourself in this house because you're literally in the house.
Yeah.
And a little trick that one of my friends taught me is she'll go on Zillow with her husband and they'll like find the house on Zillow. And a lot of times there's virtual tours that you can do where you don't even have to like go to the house, but you can just like virtually do a walkthrough or whatever. So do that and just start visualizing that. And I've done that twice. Both times the price tag was like totally out of our range, like completely unfathomable. Like there was no way it would work out, and it did. And I really think it's because we just like put ourselves in that situation and we were like, we love this so much that no matter what, this is our house. And when you do that, when you make that decision, it's like the universe will move mountains to make it happen. So if there's like, try to get creative. Like the house one is kind of easy because like you can get a realtor and go look in a house, but like maybe you want a new car, you could test drive the car. And if it's like a lifestyle thing, I love doing like little like staycation mini trips where I'll go to like a really luxurious hotel just for like the day or like a couple nights and just put myself in that environment, that vibe of like the next level I want to get to. And then I'll like sit there and write down my goals or talk about my goals with my husband. Like, what do we want to, what do we want our bank account to look like this year? How much money do we want to make this year? And it just is so much more powerful than just journaling or doing a vision board. So if you can put yourself in the scenario, like it'll take it to the next level for sure.
I love that. That's so fun. It's good as well when your partner is like so on the same level, because it's like extra power towards it. Like if you have someone that's very opposed to it, it can make, I'm sure it would make things very difficult. But Patty, he's the same. On New Year's Eve, we'll always talk about the things that we want. So I think like having someone else and having this, like being on the same page as well, especially, you both have this clear vision that you can just like pump magic into for sure.
Yeah. Well, and if they're not like into manifestation, you don't have to call it that. You can be like, hey, let's go look at houses just for fun. Like just make a day of it. Like you can just kind of play it off. Like this is just a little day out just to go do something. Like you don't have to let them know. And then they'll probably get excited once they're in it, you know? And so
I like that. Be sneaky about it.
That'd be totally be sneaky. That's my tip.
Just be sneaky. So one thing I love about you is that you love an evening routine as well, or an evening ritual. Often I find people kind of like skip over these ones, but I know that you like them. So can you please share, what do you do in your evening?
Yeah. So my evening thing never used to be a thing, but then in learning more about the subconscious mind, it's like, when you're asleep, your subconscious is processing everything that's going on in your life that happened in the day. So it's a great time for your subconscious to pick out all the different opportunities that maybe you weren't even consciously aware of that align with your goals. But what happens, and I did this for years, where I would go to bed and the second my head hit the pillow, I would start stressing about everything that went wrong during the day and then everything I have to do the next day. And I would just be filled with anxiety. And it's like, no wonder I had like anxiety constantly in my life at that time. So anyhow, now I try to make the best out of that evening time. But the problem is at the end of the day, it's like your willpower and your decision-making capability is just zapped. So I'm actually in my room right now. Like I literally have like my journal right next to my bed
Mm-hmm.
so I can just pick it. I don't even have to think about it. It's just right there and I can just
Yeah.
write out, what I'm grateful for, what my goals are.
Mm-hmm.
And then same thing with the subliminal. You can just press play on the nightstand and that's it. And then the other thing I try to do is like right when I close my eyes, I try to just visualize something, like whatever I can with how tired I am.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I'm like a very money oriented person. Like that's
Yep.
just an easy goal for me to grasp. So I'll visualize that like I'm opening up my phone and I'm looking at my investment account
Mm-hmm.
and I'll picture the balance that I want in that account. So that's just kind of like the thing that's in my mind, like right as I'm
Mm.
drifting off to sleep.
Yep.
And the thing is, like right as you're falling asleep, you're back in that theta brainwave state. And then when you're deep, deep in sleep, you're in the delta state. And that's when you are like very much involved and immersed in the energetic realm. Like that's like prime manifestation time.
Yeah, right.
So I think that the evening routine is even more important than the
Mm.
morning routine for that reason, because you're just like your subconscious is just going to soak up anything that you can put in there at
Yeah.
that time when it's in that brainwave state. So I didn't know that for a long time. And that's been something more recently that I've been trying to make sure I do every night, because it doesn't take much, but it has like a really, really powerful effect. So
Yeah.
anything positive, anything goal oriented is going to be really helpful in the evening.
I think that's so funny that you said that. Like the mind is such a amazing place to dive into. And I find that the nights where I go to bed and I've been like lying in bed, like scrolling through like TikTok or something where it's like constant things and it's like
Mm-hmm.
things about murder or whatever, like people
Yeah.
cheating and, all this
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff. And then I always have either a really restless sleep or weird dreams and I wake up just in a funk and feel yucky. But the
Mm-hmm.
nights where I've like consciously made sure I like don't look at my phone or I read a book or I like listen to your subliminals or something where it's like you're actually feeding your mind rather than draining it, you have this sleep where you wake up and you just feel like a new person. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so interesting that you said that about like the different levels and what they're soaking in and the importance of what you do at the very, very end of the day, because you do only really think of, I'm going to start the day in a new mindset. But it's like, but in order to do that, you need to kind of finish off what you left off in a positive way as well. Even if you have had like the shittiest day, you can still find a moment to be grateful for something or find something to look forward to. And I think what you said there is like gold. Like it's so important, those last moments of the day.
Yeah. And I mean, your subconscious, it really is like this catalog or library where it remembers everything. Even if you consciously have no idea, like it has a photographic memory of
Yeah.
everything that you've experienced, and it can pick up so much more than we can consciously. So that's why, sometimes you'll hear people, it's like all of a sudden it just fell in my lap, or all of a sudden I just got this amazing opportunity. And it's not all of a sudden, like it was there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when you start teaching your subconscious that this is what I want, it's going to start noticing those opportunities that were always there. And overnight, like that's what's happening. It's going
Mm-hmm.
through and like looking for things. So if you're going to bed and you're thinking about how you messed something up during the day or how you're so stressed,
Mm.
it's going to be looking at all the things in your day that was
Mm.
stressful. And you know what I mean? So it's
Yep.
like, it just can leave you feeling really restless. But if you go to sleep and you're focused on a goal or just something positive, you're
Mm.
going to wake up in the morning and you're probably going to be like revved up to take action, because then
Yeah.
you're back in like those alpha beta states where you're ready to go and do the thing and take the inspired action. So, the morning routine is important too, but I'm just sold on the nighttime routine now.
I love that. You sold me. Now I need to really think about mine. That TikTok, it needs to go away from me at nighttime. I swear, it's my
It
enemy.
sucks you in.
Oh,
Like it's
so bad.
everything I see is like something that I absolutely just get sucked into. It's like
Yeah,
so good at picking out content. And
I
oh
know.
yeah, like it's a void. You can
I
just get
know.
sucked into the void and hours could go by.
It's so funny as well when you look at like all the things that people have that pop up because you get this real read on like what people are interested in. Like
Yeah.
mine's been like all like Jeffrey Dahmer, and then like women who are like calling out men who are cheating on their wives. And I'm like, why am I even watching this? Or it's like, I have one, I've been going through like a stripper one where it's like strippers talking about what they're like, what they earn. I'm like, why? Why? What did I do?
Do you want to go and strip,
I
Amy?
don't know. It's my
Maybe
subconscious.
that's your goal in 2023.
It's so weird. If anyone saw it, they'd be like, okay, you're a psycho.
No, speaking of Dahmer, okay, so we had a garage sale the other day, and this young guy shows up, like literally looked exactly like him. And I was kind of like, okay, he has to be trying. Like it must be like
A
he's
thing.
trying to look like him because same hairstyle, like
Oh my
same
God.
outfit choice, same glasses. And I was like so creeped out and I was just staring at him. And I'm like, why are you dressing like that? What are you doing?
That's bad. And there's
I
so many
know.
people at the moment. Like I really do feel for them because there are people who just like happen to look like him. And you would be having such a hard time right now because obviously
Oh
Dharma is
yeah.
such a big show.
I know.
Not for a good reason either. Like everyone would be like, hey,
Yeah.
you look like a serial killer.
Yeah,
um,
not what you're like aiming for,
no,
but
it's not my life goal to look like that, but that's okay.
yeah.
So before I do the last questions, I want to know, what are we going to see from you next year? Like what's coming out? What are you working on? What are we going to look forward to from you?
So next year, I am planning on kind of taking things to the next level with a group coaching program.
Cool.
So, you know, like my thing is like trying to teach other women how to manifest a life they don't need a vacation from.
Yeah.
And I really want to just go full in on that and have this space where I can help them like from start to finish. Like let's just go all in and do all the things, work on all the stuff that comes up, all of these beliefs that, you know, keep you sort of paralyzed from taking action, and do sort of like a longer program to help people move forward with it, because I kind of tested it out a little bit this year.
Yep.
And it's been amazing. So I just want to take it to like the next level and just help people scale that. So that's going to be a new thing that'll be launching the beginning of the year.
Watch
Yeah,
out.
right around the corner.
And you've had such a big year. Did you have both books come out this year?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
mental.
I know. It's been crazy. It's been
Yeah.
like a busy year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what next year holds, but it can't be more than what's happened this year. It's just it's gotta
It'll
like
find
slow
a
down a
way.
little
It'll
bit.
find a way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's end then with the 5 questions that I have changed a little bit.
Gosh,
So
I don't even remember what the questions were.
okay, good.
Okay.
What was your favorite movie that you saw this year?
Like new movie or just movie in general?
Anything.
Oh, I know this one. Hocus Pocus 2.
Yeah. How
I
good
even
was
dressed
that?
as them for Halloween.
Oh my God. Your costume gave me life when you really committed to the character and I was all for it. Like I showed Patty and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I didn't hold back at all. I think I embarrassed my daughter, but I was like, I don't care. This has been a dream of mine, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fun embarrassing them at this age anyways.
100%.
Right?
Poppy started to get really embarrassed when we rock up to school with like music really loud. So we're like, I'm gonna turn it louder. Like this is my time to shine now.
Oh, I picked up Alexis today and I had like Christmas music blasting. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
Thanks for ruining my life. No worries.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
Hocus Pocus 2 was so good. I know a lot of people didn't like it, and I really don't care because I thought it was gold. It was so good.
I liked it. And I liked when it showed them as little girls.
How good were they as little girls?
Oh my gosh, so good. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, those actresses were amazing.
They need to do a movie on them.
Yes. Yeah, I would have liked it if they like went even more with that, but it was so enjoyable. My kids loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Good one. I like that. What was your favorite book that you read?
My favorite book, I think definitely was The Success Principles. So I didn't think I was going to like it. It's a huge book and it's kind of daunting. And the first couple chapters are kind of like, like I almost put it down, but there's so many things in there that are just gold. So, and it's a classic. Like if you haven't read it, it's a good one. Just get through the first 2 chapters and it gets really, really, really good.
Okay, cool. If you could be an animal for a day, what animal would you be?
I think I would be a sloth and just like sleep all day long.
That's a good answer. And they're so cute.
I mean, I'm a mom with 3 kids. Yeah. Like that's my dream. Like if I could sleep all day, that I would do it. That would be great. And I love sloth. They're so cute. Like they're I love sloth.
So cute. Like I saw this video where someone rescued one from the middle of the road and brought it over to a tree, and he like slowly looked around and like held his hand to say thank you. I was like, oh my God, you are so sweet. What one?
So cute.
Good answer. I like that. As a mom of nearly 3, I totally appreciate the wanting to just like lie on the floor and do nothing all day. That would be amazing. Where is a place you would love to travel to right now?
I really want to go to Bali.
Yes. Oh, you said that.
Yes. I know you've been. Yes. Yeah. That's still like anytime I look at images of like destinations, I'm always drawn to Bali. So I know at some point in time I'll be there, but then the other one is like Australia too. I mean, one of these days I definitely have to go and visit you there. So
and then Bali's not that far from us, so I'm happy to meet you there. I will leave my family behind and go and see.
I mean, it does look pretty amazing. So yeah. I might be able to like leave the kids behind if I'm going somewhere.
I mean,
we
could bring our kids too if we have to. It's fun.
We'll see.
All right. Final question. What was your favorite moment of 2022? And it's cool. There's more than one answer.
I feel like I should say something sweet about my kids or something, but honestly, my favorite was holding my book in my hand.
That is a baby.
It is. It's like my 4th child. And it's like, this was something that I wanted to do in my life. And I thought it would be like decades from now. And it just like seeing it was such a cool moment for me. And like, I'll never forget it. I will never forget that. And I love my kids too. And I had lots of moments with them, but the book, I mean, the book was amazing.
Oh, 100. And your book was amazing. Like I have read heaps of like law of attraction kinds of books, but I loved yours. And I've told you a million times. I just think the way that you have written everything, the way that you explain everything, it kind of like takes the like boring science part out of it and makes it really manageable and accessible and almost easy to like in a really simple way where you go, you can do it. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter how rich, poor, old, young you are. Anyone can do something and you can change the course of your life just by thought. So if you haven't read it, you need to read it because it's a goodie. So you should be proud of that moment for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. That was my goal, to just try to simplify it, make it easy for people. And we don't have to, it doesn't have to be complicated. We just really make it complicated as human beings.
It's what we do naturally. We overcomplicate everything. Well, thank you so much again for being here and for ending my year on such a high note and starting my year on such a high note. I really appreciate
thank
it.
you for having me. I know we're going to do lots together
We are
this year as well, this coming up year. So
we
I'm
are
excited.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Everyone go and check out Steph and everything that she does. Go listen to her podcast and read her books and get her app and do all the things. And I will chat to you, Steph, in the new year.
Sounds good. Happy New Year, everyone.
Bye.